Okie dokie, folks, and welcome back to Monday Night Shaw right here on Love Wrestling. I am Kyle Shaw, aka the Canadian Goose, and joining me this week on the show is my cousin Dale. Dale,
Oh, fuck.
of course,
How's the
came.
camera go? There we go.
There you go. Yeah, Dale's told me all about his elaborate camera setup where he's got his phone balanced up against an ashtray,
Yeah.
he's sitting out on his back porch, and I'm just hoping his dog doesn't come over and knock over the whole
No,
operation.
he's inside.
Right on. Dale has been on Monday Night Shaw once before. That was a long time ago, back in the
Oh,
Backbreaker Media days. In fact, I messaged him, just before we came on here to do this, and he was like, "Oh, wait, why are you sending me a link? Don't I phone you and we do it over the phone?" And I was like, "No, man, it's a video thing now."
yeah,
So
man.
wasn't even aware. So
No, you're
thanks
moving up.
for all your support and watching my podcasts and stuff. Appreciate
Oh, the live Barry job.
it. Anyway,
Jesus.
one thing you do watch regularly is AEW wrestling.
Yes.
Yes, and in fact, you watch it much more regularly than I do. But you recently had the opportunity to go out to Toronto and take in a couple of AEW shows. So I wanted to get you on here just to get your thoughts on like the live experience and stuff, because I also had the opportunity to go take in an AEW show recently, and yeah. So let's start with you. What was the first show that you went to? Because I know you went to multiple.
Well, two. Well, it was two, but I guess it was multiple because I didn't realize when we got there that they would also be filming Ring of Honor the same night as that they were doing Collision. And it was actually a weird format too. It kind of fucked us up because they film an hour of Ring of Honor before the show, and then they film the other hour after the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So it was kind of strange because when the show ended after an hour of Ring of Honor and messing around and Collision, a lot of people left.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because like they didn't realize that there was going to be another hour, and then the announcers came back on. They're like, "Oh, we have another more wrestling for you," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like we should stick around. And my buddy Adam was kind of like already getting ready to filter out because we knew we had a long day the next day with the pay-per-view and everything going on. Mm-hmm. He didn't really want to stick around and watch, random dark matches. But what ended up happening was I kind of followed him begrudgingly, and we got into the concourse there, and I looked up on the TV and I was like, dude, Christopher Daniels is coming out. Like Kyle Fletcher, like, are you serious? Like, we got to go back. We got to watch this. Yeah. Like, so he was like, oh, okay. So we went back there, and then we watched the second hour of Ring of Honor there. But like I was just all about like this whole weekend for me was like scratching off names off my list. I was like, I've seen most of my favorite wrestlers live after this weekend, if not all of them. Well, not all of them. There's a couple names that I might not ever get to see. But when I saw Christopher Daniels coming out, I was like, brother, he was like fucking one of my favorite guys growing up. I can't miss this. Like, and then Aussie Open, of course, like they're so fantastic. Like you can't miss an opportunity to see them live. So we went back and we watched all of that, and it was a gas, man. It was like.
So it was taped for TV though, like it wasn't a bunch of random dark matches. I'm not assuming they're not throwing Christopher Daniels into like random dark matches after the show.
No. It was definitely part of the Ring of Honor taping, and
I think that's cool in itself. Like, I mean, I've been a fan of Ring of Honor for like many years. Like, I remember the first time I ever heard of Ring of Honor, I was at A&B Sound, which was a retail store in Victoria, kind of like a Radio Shack where they sold DVDs as well.
Now defunct.
Yeah, it was kind of like a big record store, but they also sold like DVDs and stuff. It was a great place to go, and I found like the Era of Honor Begins on DVD in there, and this must have been like because that show happened in like 2002 or 2003, so it must have been like maybe 2004. Like it wasn't super late into it, but I watched it.
No,
And it blew me away. And because I was at that point, I was only like into WWE. I wasn't really familiar with what was going on the indies.
right.
I maybe had heard of TNA or seen a clip or two, but then I watched this and I was like, oh my God, like the things they were doing. I was like, this is like ECW on crack. It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just like really smooth athletic style of wrestling, and you know, everything, all the like the crazy weapon spots and stuff were just that. They were absolutely crazy, but the guys were getting like dropped on their heads and everything. All the time, and yeah, I loved that original Ring of Honor thing, and it sent me on a spiral. I was a huge fan of Ring of Honor. I would make sure I get all their videos up until like, oh, I don't know, I can't remember when I stopped watching it, but I watched all the way through when they feuded against CZW and stuff. So like, I'm jealous that you actually went to like an actual like Ring of Honor show. I think that's super cool.
Man, it struck me like right in my nostalgia bone, because when you were going through that whole phase and era, I was very young. I was probably like 14, maybe 15, probably a little younger even.
Yeah, your mom was very staunchly against me showing you any wrestling. And so I just kind of was like, well, I want to watch wrestling, so just keep your mouth shut and we'll watch the mouth. We'll watch the
exactly. Wrestling. Yeah. I just had me fave it.
Yeah. And then it get to levels of where it got inappropriate, where I'd be like, hey, check out this tournament death. You know?
Oh, well, that's the thing. Like I grew up on Ring of Honor because of you. Like when you were going through that, you were babysitting me quite a bit when I was younger, and we were watching tons of Ring of Honor, and that's how I got to know all these guys: CM Punk, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels. Well, was Chris Daniels in Ring of Honor back then? He must have been.
Oh yeah, he was one of the guys on the first show. He was in a big,
of course.
He was in a three-way against Loki and Bryan Danielson.
Oh, I remember Loki well. That stiff son of a bitch.
Loki's awesome.
He's fantastic. Yeah. So I grew up on all these guys watching Ring of Honor, and it was like such a trip to show up to the Collision show and see, oh, we're going to watch a live Ring of Honor tape. Like this is the stuff I grew up on. Like all these guys that were here watching in like a main event spot for the pay-per-view, for Collision, what have you. Like they were all just starting out or kind of before the real stardom when you and I were watching them, and I was younger. I even remember CZW. You were showing me CZW, and I remember distinctly, like, you know, we went through all the nonsense, the log cabin light tubes and all that stuff, which I got much more of a kick out of when I was younger. Now that I'm older and I watch that stuff, I'm just like, oh my God, why are you doing this? It doesn't age well with age.
Yeah. It's very car crashy, and that's appealing to people that are like 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
But I even remember watching because it wouldn't always be deathmatch stuff. Like, you know, like any wrestling card, there needs to be something for everybody. So they would book, you know, just regular matches, or
have like the best of the best tournament, which was like just all cruiserweight guys, like doing division thing. And I remember there was one it was like all three-way matches. Roderick Strong was in it. It was like he kills guys with backbreakers back in the day.
That was his whole gimmick. It was backbreakers. Yeah. Well, still is.
All kinds of crazy ones, like even stuff that he's just like, I haven't seen him do it in a long time, because like, you know, like you can't pick up a guy and powerbomb him onto your knee without like hurting one of you guys.
How does that not fucking suck?
Yeah.
For one, if not both of you.
Yeah.
A lot of backbreakers look like that to me. Like the tilt-a-whirl gimmick onto the top part of your fucking back, onto the knee. Like, how does that not hurt?
I mean, I suspect it does. Like,
it must.
I've never taken a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. I've taken plenty of like just regular ones, and there's a trick to it and whatnot. But
of course,
you know, when you tilt whirling a guy, I suppose the same trick would apply, which is basically you just land on your feet at the same time, right?
Right. Well, that's the secret, it appears to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a
It
lot of
also
moving
seems like a
parts
good
going
way,
on there.
like when you're tilt-a-whirling a guy like that, like it's hard to do. But if you're power bombing a guy, then his legs are up here and he can't he can't do it. So you just have to power bomb him like flat onto the.
Yeah.
I would assume. I don't even know. I've never done that move. I'm not, so I don't know. But anyway, I think it's so cool about Ring of Honor.
I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you real quick because this is a vague memory of mine watching CCW with you. Do you remember when we were watching CCW and Adam Cole came out? And he was so bland at the time and so bare bones, like just Adam Cole, like, guy in tights or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't even tights. It was trunks. Of course, it's always trunks. But I remember you and I sitting on the couch laughing, going, Adam Cole, this guy, like, oh, what's like Adam Cole? That's the best name you could come up with. He's just this like random bland jabroni. Like, we were laughing because the rest of the show was all this log cabin light tube bullshit, all this other stuff. And we were joking. We were joking about it. And now you look and you watch AEW and you see fucking thousands of people chanting Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah.
And he's like world championship material. Holy shit. Past us looks stupid. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one specifically. No.
I think about it all the time.
Adam Cole, like way back in the day, and he was like teamed up with like Kyle O'Reilly, and I feel like they.
This was before then.
Beach gimmick or something. But anyway, I just like it's wild to think like about like Ring of Honor and stuff. Like, do you know that it was just announced? I saw on Facebook today that Ava Lawless is going to wrestle Ember Moon, or Athena.
Oh, Athena's fantastic.
On Ring of Honor. Yeah, they're going to be having a match on Ring of Honor, and I think she's cool. It's like I've had matches against Ava Lawless.
Yeah,
only like 1 degree of separation from Ring of Honor there. So.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, Athena is fantastic. I think she's one of the best sellers in the business.
Athena?
Oh yeah.
Did she wrestle at the tapings that you went to?
Yes, she wrestled. I actually think it might have been Billy Starks.
Okay. All right. That was on the pre-show for the pay-per-view, right?
See, like this is the thing. Like I was thinking about, because when I went to the show and then we talked about having the podcast, like it's been so long since then. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks. And
it's been a couple of weeks. Because I didn't realize I was going to go to the one in Edmonton here. Mm-hmm. So, but when that happened, then I was like, "Oh, we might as well."
Yeah,
wait till that's over. And then,
like typically, you and I talk once a week, about once a week, just to catch up and talk some wrestling and whatever. But after Forbidden Door, I was like, "Well, I can't talk to them until the podcast. Like, we got to save it for the podcast." And now, so much time has gone by where it almost seems like a fever dream. Like, because it was all such a blur for me. I mean, I don't go for big trips very much. I don't do big, events, or, I have very few on my repertoire. I've certainly never been to Toronto or been on a plane for that long. I
assure you, it wasn't a fever dream, and all the money you owe to your credit card is still.
Oh my God. That's just the thing. Like I spent, let's recap. I spent about $450 plane tickets front and back. I spent about 500 some odd bucks on hotels. I spent about $140 on the collision ticket that put us in the upper bowl. And I spent $580 for the Forbidden Door ticket that put us in the 6th row on the floor away from the ring.
Trip.
Well, that's not counting booze. That's not counting food. That's not counting, so it turned out to be quite easily $3,000. So when I got there for all that stuff, I just thought to myself, you know what? fuck everybody else. I'm going to enjoy this the absolute maximum. If people are upset about my screaming and yelling or whatever during the show or videos, I don't give a shit because I paid more than enough money to be here and enjoy this the way I want to enjoy it.
Yeah,
So that's what my whole mindset was. That's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. So, well, give me the rundown. What happened? Like when you first got in, how did the show start? And give me like the play by play.
So we got in there the day before Collision, which was a Saturday. We got in there on Friday about 7:20 local time, which the time change did us a bit of a favor heading out there because we would have arrived, what would it be, 4 something local time, but we got the 3 hours ahead, and we just kind of
wake up and go to the wrestling because you're pretty much probably going to be up all night anyway because you traveled and probably gonna have some beers or whatever.
The first night of sleep really sucked because we're trying to get used to the fact that it's like 1 a.m. but we feel like it's 9 p.m.
That's what I'm saying. Is who goes to bed at 9? No.
Yeah. You know? So that was kind of a trip, and also the bed in the hotel was just a lot more firm than I'm used to, and they have 3 different pillows, all 3 of which are completely different fucking pillows, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then the next day we got up and we decided we were going to head downtown Toronto for Collision like really early and see the sights and walk around and this and that. Fucked up. Big fuck up on our part because it was extremely humid. I've never felt humidity like there is in Toronto. It's like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it was hot as shit when we got there afternoon Saturday.
So wet and sticky and
yeah. Hot. So we were walking around and it got to a point where we were just like, listen, we just need to find a place with AC and just relax. So we went to a establishment on the main street there between Scotiabank Arena and Rogers Arena, which is where the Blue Jays play, which is like, you know, I could throw a rock from Scotiabank and probably just about hit the front gate of Rogers Arena.
Okay. And Scotiabank is where they did the AEW show, right?
Right. That's where all the wrestling shows were. That's where the Leafs play and whatnot. So we got there, we went to this establishment that's on the main strip there, which I thought, you know, I was interested. I was like, I'm used to being in like Vancouver, right? Where like you could pretty much walk around and hit all kinds of different stores and shops and restaurants and whatever. But Toronto is so expanded. It's so much highways that main drag between Scotiabank and Rogers and whatnot is really nothing there. Like as far as restaurants, like there's a Taco Del Mar, there's a Subway, there is a couple other restaurants that I won't name for reasons.
Okay. At what point did you stop eating and go watch the wrestling?
I'm just going to say this. I spent $47 at one of these establishments for chicken strips and 2 beers. Okay?
Oh, no. Oh.
$47.
Did you not just get that at the arena? Because like I went to AEW the other day, I legit got a thing of chicken strips and a beer, and it was $33. So if I got 2 beers, then I guess $43 that would have been about the exact same amount. Now, don't get me. I don't know why they was so expensive. What the Rogers Arena here?
Because it's the arena.
Yeah, because it was not like it wasn't good chicken strips and fries. No. It was like they bought that crap at Costco and poured me a draft beer and I don't know. I was
just a rule of thumb, I don't eat at arenas, period.
Yeah,
because the food is always overpriced and always under fucking made. So I don't eat at arenas. I just ordered a beer. That's all I did. That being said, spent probably $200 on beer at the arena both nights.
Fair enough.
So we
I
get
had the one beer because I was already like broke going in, and I only caved and bought food because I was starving,
yeah.
and I only got that because they didn't really seem to list like it was 17 something without a beer, and I was like, oh whatever, I'll get a beer with it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, like I said, I was going there for like to me it was to me the entire trip was a once in a lifetime thing. The
yeah,
opportunity to see Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada, all these guys and wrestling each other. Like, how many times is this ever going to happen again?
yeah.
I was just, I'm going to break the bank. I'm going to spend every goddamn penny I have enjoying as much of this experience as I possibly can. That was my mindset.
You're
and I
also
did,
like a
and I
huge
did
fan
that.
of you're
I'm
you're
hurting right
also like
now.
a huge fan of New Japan wrestling, right? So
Yes,
you know a lot of the guys that were on the show and stuff too.
I do, but not to the extent. So here's the thing. One of the things that we were really looking into going out there was the meet and greets. We really wanted to do a meet and greet, get pictures and autographs and stuff with wrestlers. But the way it shook out was there was only meet and greets before, like a couple hours before Collision and a couple hours before Forbidden Door, but all of it was New Japan guys, specifically Tomohiro Ishii, um, Shingo Takagi, um, Minoru Suzuki, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. And we were already hurting for money at that point. And I said to Adam, I said, look, I love all of these guys, but I feel foolish spending that much money to go and meet them because I don't even know what I would say to any of them.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, it's like, hey, you know, really love your stuff, dude. It's like, you know, the millionth guy to say that. I really wanted to meet Minoru Suzuki. That was the one guy that I was like, I would have liked to have a picture with. But, you know, we both kind of looked at each other because we were expecting, you know, a possible Bryan Danielson or a possible Kenny Omega or, you know,
yeah,
maybe CM Punk. But, you know, the waters, the sea levels were so high at that time for CM Punk that I understand that he didn't do one.
fair enough. So you got to the arena and you sat down, and what was the first thing that happened?
First thing that happened was we got there really early, so we were just kind of making friends with everybody around us and talking about wrestling with everybody, everybody sharing their experiences. That's the number one thing that I would say is my favorite part of the entire weekend was the fans. It's such a fucking love fest of just everything that we all enjoy. You know, everybody, even all the jeering was in good spirit. You know, like on Collision, we were sitting very much in the anti CM Punk section, and me and Adam are very pro CM Punk. So we were kind of going at it with everybody around us and just cheering, and it was like, but nobody was, it wasn't like genuine like anger or anything like that. Like we were kind of barbing at each other a little bit here and there, but everybody was just there to have a good time because we
Yeah,
all knew that we were all there for the same reason. So
yeah,
infighting just seems stupid.
yeah.
And
This is Canada. People came there to have a good time. I mean, people don't generally start fights amongst
yeah,
themselves, you know, like
yeah.
yeah,
So it was really interesting from that aspect. But what kind of struck me when I first walked in was just the magnitude of it. Like I've been to WWE house shows before, two of them exactly. Um, and I've been to like a number of independent shows around the island, but I've never been to a wrestling show with pyro and screens and loud music and the whole TV aspect to it. So that whole experience was like surreal to me to just be like, holy shit, like we're here.
yeah,
And once the show kicked off, it was like it was like I say, it was surreal. You know, like I couldn't believe that I was there. And you know, everybody was there to have a good time, and everybody had a good time, whether they were cheering or booing or what have you. And the Ring of Honor show was great. El Desperado had a great match against Willie Mack, who I'm not super familiar with, but he was one of the most over guys of the whole weekend.
Yeah, he's a black dude, right?
Yes, yeah.
He used to wrestle in PWG, and then he did some Lucha Underground stuff too. I remember he was like super popular, and I think he did get signed by WWE for a while, but he never ended up like, breaking through to the big time.
Yeah. The crowd reaction that he had was unbelievable. It was one of the biggest of the weekend.
Yeah, he was always super over.
Yeah, it was crazy. So like that was unbelievable. And I've seen CM Punk twice before at was it once? Might be twice. I seen him once before at a WWE house show. He defended the Intercontinental title against William Regal.
Oh, that must have been good.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I loved it. Like I was one of the biggest CM Punk guys back then too. Cause like I say, you introduced me to Ring of Honor while I was growing up. I grew up watching CM Punk. I know Punk from Ring of Honor and where he came from. I remember being excited when he got to WWE, hoping that, it would be big things, big awesomeness. So it was kind of a surreal thing to see him now because the crowd was very split both nights.
It seemed pretty hostile on the pay-per-view. Like
the pay-per-view wasn't as bad. Oh my god! Oh. I think the ashtray just broke.
Oh,
it doesn't matter. So I think that the pay-per-view was a lot more amicable.
Mm-hmm.
The Collision show, like I said, we were sitting in the anti-CM Punk section, so most of what I heard was boos. But during the pay-per-view, being down on the floor, which is way different because the sound is kind of reverberating back down to you.
Yeah.
It sounded way more split on pay-per-view night. And one of the things that I noticed too is that a lot of the people who were cheering against CM Punk were cheering for CM Punk at different points.
Okay, so people are just making a lot of noise for CM Punk in general.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I was doing during the Will Ospreay Kenny Omega match. Like I was cheering for both of them. Fair enough. I was engaging in both chants.
Yeah. So was there any other highlight matches from the Collision taping?
It's kind of. Seeing CMFTR versus the Bullet Club Gold was extremely cool, and the Guns too. The Guns, I believe it was that night, joined the Bullet Club Gold officially, and it was kind of either.
It makes sense for people called the Guns to join the Bullet Club,
right, exactly. But Austin started doing this thing where during their entrance, so the Guns now what they do is they come out to a spotlight and a dark arena while their music plays, and they stand back to back. And Austin decided to start doing this thing where he lifts his fingers up like this and does
I'm
two.
Sorry, they stand ass to ass.
Yeah, ass to ass, boys. Now that's what I'm talking about, dude. What are you talking about, ass boys, brother? So
Darren Aronofsky later went on to direct The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he started doing this thing where he started spitting out water while he was doing the finger gun thing, both finger guns, so it looked like bullet smoke coming out of his fingers, and it was fucking dope. Man, it was pretty cool. And I saw people on Twitter making fun of other people like, oh, he's just literally spitting water out while he shoots a gun. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, The Rock was just fucking raising his eyebrow Stone Cold was just raising his middle fingers up behind people when he went up on the turnbuckle.
Well,
Triple H was just spitting water up into the air while he leaned up against the ropes. All these things are like little brush strokes in the fucking portrait of a character. Like, these are the things that start to make you famous and start to get you over. So I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. Like, they're figuring it out. Like, they're starting to learn how to navigate this whole thing because they have the talent. You can tell.
Yeah.
They just need to fucking find a way to get over.
Yeah.
And that's happening. And I have a funny gun story. I don't know if I want to hear it now, but
who did they wrestle?
The Guns came out and they wrestled. Yeah, no, it was CMFTR, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Jay White and the Guns versus CMFTR. I might be wrong. Like I say, like, this whole thing feels like a fever dream, and it's been like a few weeks now, and I've watched so much wrestling those 2 nights, and I've watched so much wrestling since that it kind of all starts to blend together.
Yeah, I see. I didn't see the Collision or the ROH stuff, but I did watch the pay-per-view. Which let's talk about the pay-per-view, because that was the second night you went, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that stuck out from you, like from the first night, like to the second night? Like you said, they had to tell people not to leave because the tapings were continuing. Yeah. That actually happened in Edmonton too at the Dynamite once. Because first
Rampage?
First they did Dynamite, then they taped Rampage afterwards. And they like sent Tony Khan out and had him say, "Oh, please stick around. We're gonna be taping." Tony
came out for the Ring of Honor thing too.
Yeah, he came out at the beginning of Dynamite, and then he came out at the beginning of Rampage just to say, "Hey, please stick around." And I'm pretty sure they actually changed like the order of the matches, like because the Rampage tapings, the main event was the Young Bucks and against I can't remember who they wrestled, the Dark Order, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, so it was the Young Bucks match. They were in the main event, right?
Oh yeah, that was the Young Bucks and Adam Page versus Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, and John Silver. That was keeping up with the storyline of Adam Page becoming further estranged from the Dark Order.
That's right. It was a six-person tag, and but that was like the main event of the Rampage. But right before the match, they did like the opening with the pyro. So I think they might have put that on as like the opening match of the Rampage, and then had one of the other matches like be the main event.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the pay-per-view. And when you got to the pay-per-view, was it like, because I know there was like 4 or 5 matches on the pre-show.
The 0 hour.
Like, was there any like just like straight up like, hey, this match is just for the crowd here?
I guess kind of like they had ELP, who is El Phantasmo, who's kind of rebranding himself into a babyface in Ring of Honor, I suppose. Okay. Oozing his way into AEW. I figured that he would join Bullet Club Gold right away because he was kicked out of Bullet Club in Japan, and his merch changed to the color gold all of a sudden after that happened. So I just thought he would jump over, but I guess that's not happening. So he wrestled oh God, who did he wrestle? Stu Grayson.
Yeah.
Stu Grayson. And I was marking out because the Righteous came out with him, with Vincent and Dutch. And I like the Righteous because I'm a mark for creepy voodoo shit. So, like, the whole finger snapping thing that Vincent does on his way down to the ring with the music.
I'm not familiar with Vincent. I've never seen him before.
He's actually a really good wrestler, too. But he's got great charisma. He's got good, he's good on the mic. So I was interested in that.
It's not the same Vincent from WCW.
Who's that?
Virgil.
No. No, it was not Virgil. It was a white dude with a lot of tattoos and dreadlocks. He looks like Rob Zombie.
I can't see Virgil coming to the ring, snapping his fingers, like doing that.
No, yeah, no.
Yeah,
no. He looks a lot like Rob Zombie.
Okay. All right.
But he's a good worker. He's a good worker. He's a good talker. I like him a lot. I've been
Stu
watching him.
Grayson, and he wrestled ELP. And how was it?
Yeah.
What was the match? Was good.
Yeah, the match is great. Stu Grayson's a great worker. ELP is too. Like both those guys are real flippy dippy kind of guys that get the crowd going. So it was a perfect match to have leading up to the pay per view. And yeah, the whole 0 hour, it just felt like anticipation. But I will say, like even before 0 hour, like that crowd was hot. Like we were ready to go. Like that pay per view was fucking steaming, and everybody was marking out for RJ City and Renee Paquette when they're doing the whole talking segments before the show and all that stuff. It was fantastic, and when the pay-per-view started, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like it was hard to find a break. Like, you know me, like I'm trying to find a break every once in a while to go grab a beer or whatever. It was hard to do that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking nuts. But I will say, so I have two quick stories. When I went to go do that, I had to go to the bathroom at one point to take a leak. And I finished up and I was washing my hands, and then I started drying my hands, and I looked to my left and I saw a guy in a real fancy suit. And I was like,
it was Paul White, and you said, and they call you
No.
the Big Show.
I think I would probably recognize Paul White pretty quick.
Just kidding.
Yeah. But this guy, I was kind of looking at him, and I was looking at him, and then eventually I just said, Alex Abrahantes? And he looked over at me. He's like, yeah. He said, sorry, I'm late. I'm doing Spanish commentary. And he sprinted out of the bathroom. Like sprinted. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I know you're busy. And he took off. But I would have liked to get a quick pick with Alex Abrahantes. That would have been cool.
I'm not sure. I feel bad because I don't know who that is.
He's the manager of the Lucha Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, like I'm a familiar. That's Penta and Phoenix, and I know them, but
Of course.
I wasn't like their manager is not somebody I'm super familiar with.
He's around quite a bit because he translates for Penta. He's the guy that does Penta says, and then he does the whole fucking translation.
Oh, cool.
But he also does Spanish commentary. So like I understand why he had to run away and hurry because he was in between breaks of the Spanish commentary. So I was like, oh, okay, see ya. But I realized like, oh, like I'm in the bottom tier where the wrestlers kind of are. Because if you walk from the floor to the open area, you end up in this area called the Platinum Club, which is where like people who pay a lot of money to go see Leaf games can kind of walk around and get beers. But it's also that whole concourse in the lower area is like near the locker rooms.
Okay.
So earlier on, my buddy Adam, he said he went back and saw the Guns, and the Guns were back there, and he said that they were like fully in character. Like Austin was yelling at Colton, like, "Which way do we go? We go this way. We go that way. Where are we going? Where are we supposed to be?" and like he said, it was hilarious, but he didn't have time to talk to him.
that's the
Oh, I don't know about that, brother.
sorry about this. Sorry about
I don't know about that, dude.
Anyway, so the pay-per-view did kick off. It was MJF, and he wrestled one of the
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, are you familiar with Hiroshi Tanahashi?
I'm getting more and more familiar. I got a subscription to New Japan Pro Wrestling World, which is like their streaming service.
Yeah,
which I got because I wanted to kind of get knowledge of a lot of these guys. You know, Kenny, Okada, all these guys. I got it about probably a year ago.
Yeah, and you sent me like the code to get on there and stuff too.
Oh yeah,
a long time ago.
Yeah, you should make use of it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I might have to get it off you again.
It's fucking G1 season is this weekend, dude. Well, we're
Nice.
recording this just before G1.
But anyway, what did you think of this match? MJF versus Tanahashi.
I thought it was hilarious because the thing about Tanahashi is that he is a little bit older now. He's having a bit of a harder time. He has to wrestle certain types of matches. He's not able to do the classics that he's kind of known for throughout his catalog. But MJF is the perfect guy to wrestle if that's who you are, because MJF is going to do all the heel stuff and he's going to kind of keep the match moving in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
his match at the Dynamite show was excellent.
Oh yeah, and MJF is an underrated worker too. Like it's not for nothing, but MJF, like, he may wrestle 6 or 7 times a year or whatever the count is, but that dude takes like 400 bumps per match.
See, I don't know. I was going to get to this when I talked about the Dynamite thing because I did like it, but the MJF thing at the pay-per-view when he was wrestling Tanahashi, I thought they had a great match, but like you said, I was a little underwhelmed by Tanahashi. I'll be honest, where I was like, oh, this is like a Japanese killer that's going for the AEW championship, but he's like really, really struggling to get his balance on the top rope. Like, really struggling, like, just like
Yeah, well, he's in his John Cena years now.
Yeah, I don't know, like, but I thought other than that, like, the match was really good. They had a great match, but the as far as the MJF match in the Edmonton show goes, I I went into this show going, oh, AEW is this awesome, like, it's super high work rate, like everything's going to be crazy and nuts, and then MJF and Adam Cole came out and they spent 20 minutes fucking around doing abdominal stretches.
That's a whole other thing that's going on though with MJF and like that's like its only.
But it was highly entertaining. But I loved it because like it was also pretty easy-going. Like, other than the Adam Cole is throwing around some enziguri kicks, I was like, my knee's not even fully recovered, and I probably could have taken the place of one of these guys and still been in this match and been totally okay, because it, like, everything they did was like, safe and easy, but it was also like people were into it, and that's kind of what counted.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I loved it because, like I say, like, but by the time they locked in the third abdominal stretch spot, I was going, oh no! Now I've gone all the way around from being like, oh, this is kind of boring, to being like, this is amazing. This is my favorite thing on this whole show so far, which was not true, because the match with Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin against Keith Lee and Swerve was incredible. That
went really well.
That was my favorite match from the whole night. Over.
Oh yeah, that was a great match, and the way that they story told it too, with Keith Lee kind of just being okay with Sting, Darby, and then fucking him up.
Well, he took like 200 Superman punches, and he was just doing it, and he did all kinds of crazy stuff. He did the one thing where he put a guy in a superplex. There was a dude on his shoulders who had another guy in a suplex, and that was a Tower of Doom. But instead of just standing under him and then going powerbomb him, he legit walked out to the middle of the ring first. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, you could stand under the guy and just go, and he'll look crazy and stuff. But no, he took a couple steps out, and it was like, oh no, he is completely balancing the weight of 2 people on him right now. And yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah. I thought, that was my favorite match from the Dynamite thing. CM Punk wrestled another Japanese legend, Kojima.
Satoshi Kojima.
Kojima elbow dropped him in the nuts. It was great.
Okay, so real quick side note. Do you follow Satoshi Kojima on Twitter?
Absolutely not. But I did see his tweet where he said,
Right.
I elbowed him in the cock.
In his
It was an
dick.
accident. Yeah.
All of his tweets are like that. Like he tweets all kinds of super honest stuff, and the way it translates to English is hilarious. Like it's worth it. Like,
The
you
best
should check
one
it out.
was the best part about this match was he got him in the corner and he starts giving him clotheslines. Punk gives him the clotheslines. He's going, lariat, lariat,
Lariat.
lariat,
Yeah, Punk was
Kojima,
doing that.
Kojima. Yeah. I watched the Botchamania from this week, and they show an interview where Punk is talking about he phoned up Gabe Sapolsky back in the day, pretending to be homicide, and he was talking about
He's talking about yeah. Oh my
he did
god.
exactly the same. They like show it side by side. He's like, lariat, 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 Kojima,
I'm so
Kojima.
glad you brought that up.
I have to cancel off the show. No, it's me. And then Gabe Sapolsky like bought into it, and then CM Punk had to be like, no, I'm just fucking with you. Yeah, but highly.
I love that you know that. That's why it was so funny to me at the show.
Thing. Like I didn't know it off the top of my head, but I saw this Botchamania that they recently put out where they did that and they showed him being interviewed, and it's word for word the same thing. He said, "Well, he's clotheslining the guy in the ring," and I'm pretty sure he also like turns to the camera and goes, "Hi D" or whatever. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. No, I watch Botchamania almost as regularly as I watch all my wrestling shows. So like when that was going on at the show, when he was going lariat, I was popping huge. But like I felt like I was on an island. It was fantastic. Just an opportunity to see Punk. I mean, I've seen him 2 times before. I saw him at Collision the night before. But just any opportunity to see Punk, I love it. I mean, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't care what anybody says. He's one of the best talkers the business has ever known. He's so technically sound. He knows how to capture the crowd. Like, as Dana White would say, he's a needle mover.
Yeah, I like him. I mean, I think that the way he conducted himself at that press conference was pretty unprofessional. But I mean, as far as unprofessional things you can do in wrestling, that's talking a bunch of shit at a press conference is pretty low on the totem pole. It's not like he I've never heard any stories where he like beat the trash out of somebody in the ring or took advantage of them.
Exactly.
Like nothing like that. Like he's not taking liberties with people's safety. He's just kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's just he gets a live mic and he just starts talking crazy shit. And like, you know what, man? If Brett and Sean are able to make up enough to have a match, even if it ended up in the Montreal Screwjob, like all this other shit that happens behind the scenes in locker rooms and people are able to be professional, how the fuck is it possible that Punk can't be professional with these guys and make a boatload of money?
Well, and I just heard over the weekend that he pitched to be one of the mystery opponents in the War Games, and they shot him down. So now even just that going out on the internet that he's pitched that idea already says, oh well, he's willing to work with these guys. And now the ball's in their court, whether like him pitching to be a part of this match, like that he clearly was not going to be a part of.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense, really.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks before the show or whatever. Like, it seems like it might even just been a political move to be like, hey, I'm willing.
Or just bullshit.
Yeah, but yeah, it could be that too. But
like, honestly, I've resigned myself to.
I heard it on a couple of different wrestling news things, but they do often say you got to take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I've resigned myself to when it comes to inner locker room drama like that. If you weren't there and you don't know what was said or what happened, you don't know what the fuck happened. And listening to, Wrestle Cringe or, Backbreaker Media or fucking...
No, don't lump Backbreaker Media with those guys. But Backbreaker Media is good people.
I was just naming things that I've heard. I'm not trying to disparage.
You're talking about like the dirt sites, like the Wrestling Observer and the Wrestling.
I'm just saying, like, the point I'm trying to make is unless
they don't know nothing.
I wasn't so just to clarify, so that I don't get heat on myself. I wasn't trying to name any. Sorry to Backbreaker Media. Sorry to Wrestle Cringe. I was just
That's
trying to
a
say
real
that
thing. I thought that was a thing you made up.
no, Wrestle Cringe is real. It's on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, unless you were there in the room and you know what happened, please don't report on things as if you know what happened or lead people to believe that
Yeah.
they know what happened based on what you report, because I subscribe to the Paul Heyman point of view. If you weren't there, you weren't in the room, you don't know what happened.
Yeah. But I think the general perception now is going to be, oh, Punk's willing to work with these guys and the ball's in their court. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And that's the problem.
let's move on from the
But
CM Punk talk.
fuck that. I agree.
Yeah. So what was the next match? Was it there was a 10-man tag team match with the Young Bucks and Eddie Kingston and I can't remember the Japanese fella's name.
Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah, he was like a pit bull. He was
Stone
crazy.
Pitbull.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He's fantastic. He's great.
He's just like this, like small but like really thick dude.
Yeah.
I remember at one point, the Japanese fella on the other team, because the other team was Blackpool Combat Club. It was like Moxley and Cesaro and a couple other guys. And at one point, one of the guys on the other team forearmed Ishii, and he like sold it like he got murdered.
Yeah,
he dropped dead and like rolled out of the ring. It was
the
crazy.
Blackpool had Konosuke Takeshita, who is a big fucker. I honestly, you know what? What's interesting, when I see him on TV, I look at him and I go, "Wow, that's a big fucking guy." But when I saw him live next to Claudio, I was like, "He's pretty big, but Claudio's a big fucking guy." Like Claudio's huge.
Yeah, I would suspect he is. Like
he's huge in person.
When he did the great the giant swing onto the Great Khali.
Oh yeah. But Blackpool also had Shota Umino, who is Red Shoe's son.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember it was just like a bunch of craziness. It was just like, it was a really fun match.
For those who don't know, Red Shoes is like the premier New Japan wrestling referee. He always wears red shoes, and he's like kind of their Aubrey Edwards, like he's on every match almost. And his son, Shota Umino, is becoming a big name for himself. He's known as a shooter. And he was wrestling with Blackpool Combat Club with Konosuke and Claudio and Wheeler and John Moxley that night.
Is he the guy that Chris Jericho punched out during his match with Omega at the Tokyo Dome?
I don't know about that, but I believe he threw a fireball into his face in the backstage segment.
I seem to recall like Jericho was wrestling Omega at their first match at the Tokyo Dome, and the Red Shoes referee's like son was attacked by Jericho in the course of the match, and they called it out. So, anyway, Jericho was on the show later. But that was after the Kenny Omega match. But do you have any thoughts on the Jericho match? Because the Kenny Omega match is kind of like the main event.
Kind of was, kind of wasn't. I mean, honestly, Danielson and Okada managed to make that spot their own as time grew on.
I'll be totally honest. I didn't get around to watching the final match on the show yet. The Daniel Bryan one.
Oh.
I heard that he broke his arm 10 minutes into the match, though.
Yeah, he fractured one of the bones in his forearm, like straight up broke it.
But he continued to wrestle for like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah, 10 minutes, finished the match. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I did watch a highlight video today, and he like tapped the guy out and stuff, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's not something that happens often either, is Okada being tapped out.
No, well, like Okada's like one of the major, like isn't he like one of the top dudes in Japanese wrestling?
For those uninitiated, Okada is kind of like the Hulk Hogan of New Japan wrestling.
Well, was he like more like the modern day version of like is he like the Roman Reigns
I
of
guess. Yeah, I
like
don't know.
he's just like the top guy, like
Yeah,
the
he's the top guy, but he's also like the legendary guy. Like that's why I don't know if I can say Roman Reigns because, like, I keep a peripheral eye on WWE. I don't really watch it. I was when Bray Wyatt came back. I wanted to see what was going on there, but I keep a peripheral eye on WWE, and like Okada's kind of like the Roman Reigns, but the difference I think is that the crowd is getting burned out on Roman Reigns versus the crowd is celebrating Okada still.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think you've watched WWE in a long time because Roman Reigns is legitimately the best thing on the show.
Well,
He has been for a while.
does that say more about Roman Reigns? Or does that say less about the show?
It's like no, like he's his stuff legitimately him and the Usos and Sami Zayn and stuff has been the most compelling like storyline that
100%.
they've done in years,
100%.
and you can't take any of it away from Roman Reigns because he
No,
plays his character beautifully.
no, it
I,
wouldn't
I
happen
watched
without that.
I watched a video on YouTube, and it was like an hour-long video all about Roman Reigns' ascension to the top, and like it goes over like everything from both like a backstage and like real world perspective, and also from a kayfabe perspective of like, hey, you worked your ass off, and you got to the main event of WrestleMania, and you defeated the bad guy. And you got booed out of the fucking building for it. Like that'll do something to a person, right? Like,
Yeah,
and yeah. So I think it was like Super Eye Patch or something like that. But if you see the video about like Roman Reigns is on the cover, and there's a bunch of like colorful static and stuff on the thumbnail. If you see that video and you have like an hour to kill, check it out because it's amazing.
yeah.
It's
No,
really good.
not to take anything. Like I will say, like I say, I keep a peripheral eye on WWE, but I've watched enough to observe the Bloodline storyline from a point of view, and it's the best shit that company's done in so long. Like it's unbelievable. Like the storytelling and the nuance is it's stuff that they haven't done in forever and ever and ever. Like it's really spectacular.
Yeah, and I it lights the crowds on fire. That's what I love about it too.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing I will say, before we get further on, is something funny happened. So when the Kazuchika Okada and Bryan Danielson match was starting, I actually fucked off to go grab a beer because the last match just finished, and they were filming a video package. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I got time to go grab a quick beer and switch back to my seat. So I ran back there. Unbeknownst to me, Bryan Danielson is coming out to the fucking final countdown like I was a kid again watching Ring of Honor. Pisses me off so much that I missed that. I mean, I caught it at the end when he won, and obviously the final countdown played, and I got to be a part of that. That was fantastic. But I was in the back grabbing a quick beer, and there was a chick in front of me who was grabbing a beer, and she turned around. She said, "Are the Guns wrestling tonight?" And I said, "No."
Yeah, they're going on right after Okada and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. So I was like, no. I said, no, they wrestled last night. I said, they're not wrestling tonight. And she's like, what? She's like, I talked to Austin. He said they were wrestling. I said, no, I think he faved you. And she's like, no, he's my boyfriend. He wouldn't lie to me. Like,
what?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, well, they're not wrestling tonight. That's what's going on. And then she went up in front of me, and the lady who was serving the beer, I guess, witnessed this whole thing. And she said, look, I don't feel comfortable serving you. I think you're overserved. Like, goodbye. And she was throwing a huge fit. Like, no, he's my boyfriend. He wouldn't lie to me. Austin Gunn, and I was like, oh god, I don't know what to do here. And I just said, yeah, well, he's not wrestling, and they wrestled last night, so I think he he worked you. And there was a guy behind me. He was like, "You got worked." And so she got shooed off, and she took off, and the lady was like, "Oof!" And I said, "Yeah, 2 beers, please." Not knowing I was already probably like 8 beers deep at that point. Still served me because I'm a gentleman. But it was hilarious. I came back to my seat and I saw the Rainmaker coming out and all the dollar bills floating. So I ran up as close as I could to the guardrail to try and grab one of the dollar bills. And I was standing on one of the security guards' feet. I didn't realize because I was just so in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I just heard somebody right by my ears say, "You're standing on my foot." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sorry, bud. I'm really sorry." And because I just missed the goddamn fucking dollar bill that was kind of floating my way, but I never really got close. I just wanted to take it home as a souvenir. But
was it real, or was it like
nah, it was probably
like where it's like a picture of JBL's face or
something. Yeah, it was probably like a $1 bill with fucking Okada's face on it or something. I never got a good look at it. But I just wanted to be able to take it home to say I had it. And I missed out, and the guy got really fucking mad at me. So I just apologized as much as I could and backed away, and the lady came behind me, who was actually really nice to me all throughout the show. Just said, "Can you please get back to your seat?" And I said, yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
This is not the same lady that's Austin Gunn's girlfriend, right?
No. This lady worked at the arena. I'm not sure who Austin Gunn's girlfriend. Yeah, I'm not sure who Austin Gunn's girlfriend was, but she probably got picked up by the cops. Because she was in one, like we say back home.
Fair enough. So another big match that happened was there was a women's championship match. How did you like that one?
Oh, it was fantastic. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she's so good and so over and so charismatic. Toni Storm's really, really good too. She's not. How do I say this? I guess charismatic is the only word I can come up with. Like, it's just not on the same scale as Willow Nightingale. Like, when Willow Nightingale comes out, the entire arena just lightens up. It's crazy. Like, everybody's just all in at the same time. I mean, Tony's obviously a heel, and she came out with Saraya and Ruby. So, you know.
Willow Nightingale wrestled Zoe Sager for Love Pro Wrestling right before she signed with AEW.
Oh, that's fantastic. That probably was a great match.
And then Gigi Ray wrestled Toni Storm on an episode of Dark.
Oh.
Yeah, Gigi Ray wrestles for Love Wrestling. And
I'm familiar with Gigi.
I've wrestled Gigi Ray too.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like I say, the amount of crossover that was going on, and like the Dynamite show that you went to with Big Jesse Youngblood.
Yeah. Was there any local guys on the Collision or ROH tapings when you went?
Not that I know of.
No,
not that I know of. I probably would have recognized their name because of the amount of time I've spent talking with you about the shows.
Fair enough.
I don't think that took place, but it was really cool to see Big Jesse Youngblood come out and present the cake to fucking MJF and all that. Like, I just saw him come out, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I know that guy."
Yeah, he had all the perfect facial expressions, and MRB was there too, and so was Michael Allen Richard Clark.
Oh, really? I didn't realize MRB was out there.
Yeah, he was one of the other security guys that came out behind.
Oh shit! I feel bad. I didn't recognize him. I probably would have if I was paying better attention.
He wasn't really shown on camera much. I only know
No.
because I seen like a screenshot of him, and it was like him and Michael Allen, Richard Clark were standing there. Michael Allen, Richard Clark, I think, is on an upcoming ROH too, and he's teaming up with Evan Rivers and Levi Knight, and those are
Oh
just
yeah.
a couple other guys that I've been on shows with, and they're all going to be on this upcoming ROH too, a 6-man
Oh
tag.
shit.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff like that, but overall, I think that the Dynamite taping was pretty fun. Besides just Jess on there, Bambi, no, not was it was Liza Hall. Liza Hall wrestled in an opening match, like dark match that was just for the crowd, and it was Liza Hall against Nyla Rose. And it was like, oh, poor Liza Hall. She got murdered in like 3 minutes.
Well, at least she wasn't wrestling Nia Jax.
She's really good too, Liza. She's wrestled on Love Wrestling, and she has a sister named Bambi Hall who also wrestled on some of the more recent ROH shows and stuff. But it was cool. But I was hoping that I was going to see more local people on the show, but they just, I guess now that they've gotten rid of their dark elevation, and they're just taping that stuff, they just don't have as much room for, I mean, I'll be honest, like when I would watch like dark and stuff, you tune into a YouTube video, it's like, oh, here's the dark taping, it's 2 hours with 14 job matches, and it was like it's very cool if you're like local to the area and all the people in the matches and whatnot. But like when it's from some other completely different area, I'm not going out of my way to watch 14 job matches. Like, wow.
It's
and it was weird because
why it doesn't take off.
Like it was weird. Like dark elevation, it was always like 10, 14 matches. Like
it's way too much.
Yeah, and then after that, that's when they would tape the Dynamite.
That's what Rampages. Exactly, and that's one of the things that I got from
everybody sit there and watch, a famous tag team wrestle, 6-man tag team made up of local guys, which is okay to do like once or twice on a show, but then like you did it 14 times, and now you want people to be excited to see like the rest of the show. So that's.
And that's one of the things I kind of got from the first night when we were there for Collision. Like the first hour of Ring of Honor was a good primer for everybody, but once all the actual 2 hours of Collision plus all the fucking around time took place, when it came time to announce, hey, we have another hour of wrestling, it just felt like the fans were burnt out.
Yeah.
Just felt like everybody had enough wrestling, and it was just kind of falling flat. And I mean, I was there for the whole fucking thing and the whole next day of the whole fucking thing too. And I felt like I was burnt out on wrestling by the end of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like there was just so much shit going on.
It was. I'll admit, like even going to just a one night, it was a long night, and I had the disadvantage of I just bought like one ticket and went by myself, and like just like sat there by myself and watched the show quietly. So it was a little depressing, to be honest with you. But all the wrestling was really fun. Like all the wrestling was great and whatnot. I like I say, I would have liked to see more local people on the shows, but that's just because like I like to see local people come on the show because like of
course.
I'd like to be a local person on the show.
Yeah,
day,
of course. I was hoping to see the goose.
Yeah, but I'll come out and hold a cake. Like
shit, yeah. Anybody could do that.
I didn't even know you could like apply for that kind of stuff like that. I thought because I like. I don't know how that gets arranged or whatever, but like
me neither.
I didn't even put in like I didn't even inquire about it because it was like, well, they're not going to obviously put a guy with a busted knee in the ring, so have to get.
Well, how does that even work? Did they inquire? Do you inquire? Does it both happen?
Yeah, I don't know, but if I had known, like, oh, go down to the ring and hold a cake, or if the security guard was on the table, like. Anyway, it was very cool to see Big Jesse out there, and there was a lot of like another good match was Kenny Omega against Wheeler Yuta,
Yeah.
Again, I don't follow like a whole lot of AEW, so I'm not like super familiar with Wheeler Yuta. But I'm pretty familiar with Kenny Omega, and I really liked him. My favorite thing, my favorite thing on the show was probably that MJF match where they just fucked around for 20 minutes doing abdominal stretches. But I also really loved Jericho's thing because he came out and he did a promo, and it was all very like standard bog fair Jericho promo, rah rah, Edmonton. Although he did accuse Edmonton of booing Stu Hart at one point.
I actually fell into that too because I actually thought that was what was going on when I
No,
heard all the boos.
he was like, oh yeah, and then down in Calgary for Stu Hart, the people booed because he mentioned Calgary, not because he mentioned Stu Hart.
Right.
Yeah,
Edmonton was booing Calgary just the same
yeah.
as Calgary should boo
And
Edmonton.
then he was like, "Oh, you're gonna boo Stu Hart?"
Yeah.
I thought
Somebody on
that
Twitter actually corrected me because I said something akin to the fact of like, wow, this fucking crowd is going to boo Stu Hart. Like, what the fuck? And then the person brought up to me like, no, they were booing Edmonton.
no, they were booing Calgary.
Or they're booing Calgary, sorry. They weren't booing Stu Hart. Stu Hart is a legend. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then Buddy came, Cyrus the Virus, Don Callis came out, and he had like this weird droning sound as his entrance music. At first, I was like, "Wait, is like the music broken or something?" Because it was like
Yeah.
it just sounded like a loud humming noise or something. It was really weird. But he had like a full video display and everything. And then he came out and he got in the ring, and the booing was so loud and so constant because it wasn't like, oh, boo, boo. Oh, he's going to talk now. So let's shut up and listen to what he's going to say. Right. It was no, he started talking and they continued to boo so loudly. I have no idea what the fuck he said.
Even on TV, it was hard to hear.
Yeah. I was something about joining a family or something like that, and then once Jericho started talking, they quiet down a bit so you could kind of piece together what was said. But legit, every time that this guy opened his mouth or did anything, booing, like the loudest booing and most constant and consistent, like that you've ever heard. And then the greatest part was at the end of the show after the Young Bucks and Hangman Page had wrestled the Dark Order guys. There was a bunch of run-ins, and Kenny Omega came back out at the end, and they all ran everybody off, and Omega did a promo and whatnot, and he like teased his partner for the blood and guts thing, and then he brought up Don Callis' name again, and the whole place started booing again. Like, it was crazy. And it was kind of weird because like when I went and like you could tell that the Edmonton crowd, at least from my perspective, kind of burned out by the end of the night. Like they were really, really hot for all the opener stuff.
Yeah.
And then things did quiet down. Like there was a girls match there. I think it was Ruby Soho and Britt Baker.
Really? Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't remember that. Like I say, I've watched so much wrestling. I fucking all burst together.
Yeah, it wasn't like a bad match or anything. It's just by that point, people were tired of making so much noise because they had been so hot, and that like by the time this one came out, it was just like people were quiet, and then so like then it became harder and harder for the wrestlers to get good reactions. And then so by the time when he brought up Don Callis' name at the very end of the show and got like a huge outrageous like booing again, I was like, oh, okay, like he's we're gonna leave on. So overall, I also like I had a tremendous time. It was a lot of fun. The Rampage was great. Jeff Jarrett was there.
I would have loved to see Jeff Jarrett. See, I hated him when he was a kid. Like he had go away heat with me when I was a little kid. But
he
now
with Matt Hardy, it was weird.
Now though, like when I hear the I just love it so much because I know so many people hate it.
Yeah. So he was there, and he was in him and Matt wrestled a couple of guys. I think it was like the Butcher and Daddy Magic or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
Daddy
yeah,
Magic is Matt Menardi's part of the JAS.
yeah. I could be wrong. It might have been somebody else because I who
Well,
did
the
who did.
Butcher and the Blade are usually a tag team.
Yeah, but they weren't
So
on this night. They were in separate matches.
yeah. Oh,
And
that's weird.
I think the Butcher was actually the guy in the MJF match because he was doing the abdominal stretches with MJF was the Butcher in it, and so I think
Oh,
that's the Butcher and Daddy Magic was against MJF and Adam Cole, and then uh,
with the Blade. The Blade is actually
oh
the
yeah,
Bunny's husband.
Hardy and Jeff Jarrett wrestled Sammy Guevara and Danny Garcia.
Oh yeah, Danny Garcia is great.
Yeah,
He's
yeah. The
really
guy
good.
stopped and started dancing in the ring. He was fantastic, and it was great to see like
Yeah.
Matt Hardy and stuff again. And then there was another great match, and it was Matt Sydal, and
Oh, was he on the show? I haven't seen him in a long, long time. I was
yeah
wondering what was going on with him.
he was in a match against Big Bill and Brian
Oh,
Cage, and who was his tag team partner?
fuck! I can't stand Big Bill.
Yeah, I can't remember who his tag team partner was, but it was another really great match. So
Well, that's probably the best match Big Bill has been in because.
honestly, no, he was killing guys. He was awesome.
Well,
Like,
yeah, that's the only way he can work is if he's killing guys. Like he's not.
him and Brian Cage teaming up and doing double team moves on people was amazing.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes
And,
sense.
just like doing stereo power bombs and stuff.
Yeah.
The Prince Nana from old school Ring of Honor was in
Yeah,
their corner.
I marked out for Prince Nana. I was so
Yeah.
happy to see him.
Yeah, I was happy that he was there too. I thought that was so cool. So yeah, no, I had a tremendous time. I think one more thing we should touch on before we end the podcast, just because we've been so AEW centric here, is the AEW video game came out.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on the AEW Fight Forever video game?
I've been having a hard time putting it down because it reminds me so much of No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, which I grew up playing. And when I was young, I sucked at it, and you and my other cousin would kick my fucking ass at it. And I've been playing it a lot, and I've been getting really good at. I'm still having a hard time with the reversal. The reversal system is fucking weird. It's like I haven't been able to get the timing down, but it seems like if I mash it, it still works, which is weird.
Yeah, it's like there's like one button for reversing grapples and throws, and one button for reversing strikes. And
Yeah,
the timing is weird. Like because, I mean, you don't probably play the WWE game as much as I do, but I play
no.
the WWE game pretty regularly. So when you go from that control scheme to a whole different control scheme, it's a little jarring, right? Like when I try to play, if I play like WWE for a couple hours and go back and try to play AW, it gets frustrating because wait, what? Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt. Like I was used to playing the WWE games my whole life, so I was trying to time the reversals based on that, which seemed to not work worth a fuck. So
Yeah.
I just started mashing it, and it seems like that works, which is weird because it shouldn't. Like
I think from my like perspective, I think the game is good. Like
I think that's great.
like when you're playing the actual matches, it's a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
otherwise it's very like bare bone. Like the Creator Wrestler.
Mhm.
I mean, I haven't tried it out yet, but from all intents and purposes, from everything I've heard, it's very bare bone and minimal. Like
Yeah.
you've got like a few different options and stuff, and it makes like the WWE one just blows it way out of the water, right?
There are little things that piss me off a lot about the AW game. It really bothers me that when you do a casino battle royale match, you can pick, if you do solo suit, you can pick your guy and then the rest of it is automated. Or if you pick a group suit, you could pick everybody within that suit, but you can't pick anybody through the other 3 suits. So it just autofills with a bunch of men and women.
Yeah.
And it's stupid
like,
because it's
yeah,
like, oh, okay, so now Abaddon and Chris Statlander and Chuck Taylor are in the fucking Casino Battle Royale now.
yeah, no, it's very like 1998, like WWF Warzone. Like you pick a guy and then the computer picks who you're fighting, and it's like, oh wait, no, like half the fun is setting up the matches, right?
Yeah, I'd
It's
like
like,
to be able to pick everybody that's in the Casino Battle Royale.
yeah, I think like for me, like my top things that I'd like to see like added is I would like to see them add a different way for the pinning and submissions to work. Just mash buttons is dumb.
Yeah,
I don't like
it's
that.
pretty archaic.
I would like to see like I'd much rather the meter thing where you have to stop it in the middle, because at least then it's a skill based thing and you're not just losing because you know.
Yeah, because
it's like
what,
if even if it's going back fast and you like
yeah,
you've got no chance. Well, you still do have like a fucking button press of a chance to hit it.
right.
But with the button mashing, it's like once you get to a certain level,
It doesn't even matter.
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too because the game itself seems to want you to have your matches be under 5 minutes or even less, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, I guess. Because when I play on easy and I go over 3 minutes, my match evaluation goes way down.
Oh, I didn't even know that, but like.
So like it wants you to finish the fucking match, but I noticed that like I just get into like a good, like I'm trying to do like psychology, like I'm doing strikes and grapple strikes and off the rope strikes and then in the corner, and then we're going to start doing moves, and then we're going to do bigger moves, then we're going to do finishers. But it seems like I could just get halfway through that and pin somebody. Like I did that by accident a bunch of times.
Yeah. You get
it's like I just pinned somebody off of a fucking drop kick.
You can do like 4 fucking finishers in a row, like V trigger, snap suplex, C triggers, one-winged angel. They're done. Like,
they're done. But I shouldn't be able to pin somebody after I drop kick them in the corner.
That's true. Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely like still little kinks like that. I think that is like mechanically the only thing that really bothers me. The other thing is the way the running works is like you just press go and you go, and it's very old school because it's what No Mercy was like, where you would press go and you go off in a direction, but you can only go up, down, left, right, or like diagonally. You can't run in circles like you can in a WWE game.
Right.
Not that there's an advantage to doing that, but I don't know. I think just like it makes it. Well, again, when you go from playing one to the other, it makes it really frustrating.
Absolutely.
The only other thing I would personally like to see is like, I don't expect them to put in like a full-on universe mode or anything, but even WWF No Mercy had like create a pay-per-view, which is like
where's that?
Create a card of like 10 matches where you can just start and then play through the whole thing, and like and that should just like be in every wrestling game, I figure. And the more options you put into it, like the better. Like you should be able to put in like, oh, there'll be a hype video here, or like a backstage ambush or something over here, like the best one for that was WWF 14, when they had the story designer and you could literally like put in promos and stuff between all the matches and stuff. I'd really like to see the WWE game bring that back. I mean, it'd be cool if AEW did it too, but it'd be like super weird because they seem like they have a lot of game to build before they get to adding things like
so
that.
Much.
But like, I don't know. I just like to see like that, literally, like be able to create like a 10 match card or whatever, 5-6 matches just in a row where it transitions from one to the next, and you can just play the whole thing and then set up another one. And maybe you can fight for championship belts or whatever.
Right.
I'd really like to see that, something like that. I am stoked for the battle royale mode that they got coming out, which, the fact that they haven't had a battle royale mode in a wrestling game is kind of weird. But
what is that?
They're doing a 30-man Stadium Stampede online mode. It's already been advanced. Like they've put out trailers and everything. Kenny Omega confirmed it. That you got 30 wrestlers that can all go into the stadium and wrestle each other, and there's horses you can ride and bombs you can pick up, and you can pick up fucking guns and shoot people.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird, but like you collect like Casino Royale points and stuff. But there's like a ring at one part, and there's like you can wrestle all over the entire arena. And
oh my god!
The arena, there's like set up like trucks out in the field by the ring, and there's a stadium. It's being patched in.
So here's the thing, like I said earlier, if your match even goes a little bit too long, like I'm saying not even over 5 minutes, if it goes over 4 minutes, your match valuation starts to go down, like multiple grades. One of the things that fucking pisses me off is I was told and shown that thumbtacks were going to be a part of the game, big part of the game.
Yeah, they are.
So I played a match as John Moxley against Lance Archer, and it was a 26-minute match. And I spent 23 of those minutes trying to find the thumbtacks and just discarding all the weapons that I got instead of thumbtacks. Spoiler alert, never found the fucking thumbtacks. You know what I did find? Many lacrosse sticks, shovels, tires, fucking hockey sticks, chairs, bombs, propane tanks, a lot of shit that weren't thumbtacks, and only 2.5 minutes worth of the match were actually moves and finishes. Never once found the goddamn thumbtacks.
You want to see the weapon wheel from WWE as well?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. Because it's fucking weird to spend a half an hour trying to find thumbtacks that you can't find when fucking 25 minutes of the half an hour were spent actual match.
Oh, maybe John Moxley got a concussion like 2 minutes into his match. That would explain.
Well, I sent you a screenshot of the match actually near the end of the match. Yeah,
I didn't know that's what that was.
Well, it wasn't a screenshot; it was a video actually, where Lance Archer had a tire in the middle of the ring, and I found a tire on the outside of the ring, and Lance Archer wouldn't come outside of the ring, but he would raise the tire above his head. So I just started raising the tire above my head on the outside of the ring, and we were both raising tires above our heads, neither one of us coming into or out of the ring. And then he started running off the ropes with a tire, so I started running around in circles around the ring with the tire. It was so stupid. Oh my god, it's fun though. I will say that. Like it is so much fun. It's a great game. If you were into arcade style wrestling, which like I grew up with No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, if you're not so wrapped up in being immersed in the reality of say a WWE 2K game or whatever, this is the wrestling game for you. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I agree. It's a pretty fun game. I'm a little harsher on it just because of like other games, but I've seen other like first time wrestling games that were significantly worse than this, like the TNA game that came out.
It might as well not exist.
It had mind blowing graphics. I think the graphics in that old TNA game are better than the graphics in this new AEW game.
Yeah, but graphics weren't the point.
The gameplay was not up to snuff.
Yeah, the graphics weren't the point of the AEW game. That wasn't the idea at all.
Yeah, no, that's pretty clear because the graphics are not very good.
Yeah, no, they're trying to make.
It's meant to
make
like
No Mercy.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a more cartoony type thing. I'd love to play it on like on a PC with like a good PC where I could get like actual mods and stuff because I saw some mods of like somebody did like a Brock Lesnar mod and it looks just like him, and so it'd be sweet to like mod Brock Lesnar into the game and like add his music and stuff.
Do you know what the F5 is called in AEW Fight Forever?
Isn't it called diverticulitis?
Yeah,
isn't that what Kevin Owens used to call it when he did it in
I don't
PWG or
know,
whatever?
but all I do know is that Brock Lesnar got actual diverticulitis while he went to the UFC and had to get a large part of his intestines cut out because he had it before he could come back and fight.
Anyway, yeah, that's that. I mean, it's pretty funny that they would name the move that, but it's you know, like
It's hilarious.
it's also kind of like it's only funny because he got over it. Like you wouldn't
Well,
name the
yeah, if he
Roman Reigns
died, then they wouldn't
spear
have called it that.
leukemia, you know, like
Yeah, no, they wouldn't have called it that if it became a serious issue.
yeah,
But it's kind of hilarious that he's still a huge star, and they just called the fucking move after the life-threatening illness that he suffered.
yeah. Other people have legitimately probably died from like it.
Probably,
It's kind of insensitive, actually.
kind of. But we're not going to go down that road because we're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
try and get too woke, as they say.
Anyway, so I love the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves because I've heard that it's supposed to evolve. And like I say,
Yeah.
the things that I want to see modified the most are I want to see the pins and submissions changed, and I want to see like create a pay-per-view mode added, and then just more wrestlers. Like adding two wrestlers a month is that's not very good.
No.
Unless you're going to be doing that for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And even in that case, like you probably should step it up and do like more than two wrestlers at a time.
For sure. And if it is possible to modify wrestlers, it would be nice if you could modify the color schemes of their gear, if at all.
Well, I mean, there's like mods are on PC, right? Where that's that.
Wow, we're gonna put them over here.
Yeah, like the console game, you really like you don't have a lot of options. Like you can't go in.
PC can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
I'm speaking on behalf of us console gamers.
Yeah, I think it would be it. They need to add more for that sake, I think. But overall, like for what it is, it's a great first outing, and I'm very excited because I think if legit those things are added and there's like a creative pay-per-view mode, I would spend time like actually like playing it and trying to build my like universe and stuff in there. Like I don't know, I just would because that's like my jam or whatever. But
yeah, me too. And I mean, I wish the tag team.
It's only good for firing it up, play a couple of matches, and then
I mean, I do that. Like I've been playing as pretty much every single character in the game. That's how I've been getting longevity out of it.
Did you unlock any of the secret characters?
Not quite yet. I'm probably well on my way to unlocking Owen Hart because it takes 100 singles matches or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably well on my way to that. Because like I say, I'm trying to play as pretty much every character and see how they work. And
unlocked Aubrey Edwards, the referee.
Well, you just pay for that. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like you pay for Aubrey and you pay for Cody Rhodes and then you pay for the fuck. Oh, here's another thing I want to bring up. That's a little tiny thing, like, but this game is full of little tiny things that piss me off. So there's alternate attires in the game, right?
Yeah, but there's
for Kenny,
very few of them.
Yeah, there's very few of them for one thing. But the other thing is the only way to apply them is if you go into the modify wrestlers and you create new presets for each wrestler and then apply the alternate attire to that preset. So all of a sudden, once you do that and you save it, you can change the preset for the wrestler before you wrestle the match. But one thing that's kind of stupid is that it seems like each preset gets its own fucking win-loss record. So
what?
Yeah. So while you're
Kenny
wrestling,
Omega in his black and purple costume has 2 wins and 14 losses.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega in his white costume, he's got 17 wins under his belt.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like that. It's kind of fucking stupid. Like, I didn't pick up on it until today when I was fucking around with Bryan Danielson, because I was playing a lot as Bryan Danielson today. And I noticed his win-loss record kept going up and up and up. And I was trying to figure out why. And then I realized this is when I play as Kenny Omega, as all different tires, it just fucking resets the win-loss record.
Well, of all the things that you could complain about, that's another one.
It's pretty small.
Very minor. Like has very very little effect on the game. Is likely something that'll probably be fixed in a patch.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. But like I say, it's the little things that piss me off.
Yes. Anyway, Dale, we have gone for an hour and a half and climbing here. So let's do our little endings here. If anybody should need to get a hold of you for some reason, where can they do that?
Well,
Do you have a social media presence? Like I know you do a lot of wrestling stuff on Twitter.
I do, but I'd be breaking kayfabe if I gave them my wrestling Twitter account. Well, just my Twitter account in general, because nobody on Twitter knows what I look like or what my real name is or any of that.
Oh, so you want to remain anonymous for Twitter?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter anymore. So I will just say that at the boogeyman, or no, sorry, at D_2 and then PIN at D_2pin is my my Twitter, and the boogeyman is my name. I've been kayfabe till now, but here I am.
Well, welcome to the wild world of professional wrestling podcasting. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show, Dale. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you for supporting my merchandise.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'm glad that you had a great time at the AEW shows and whatnot. And I hope
never gonna forget it.
I hope I get to see you again soon.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to organize something. You got to come back out here, brother. Or we're going to come out there. Shit.
Yeah, you should come out here. It'd be good. Be fun.
Go to some shows?
Yeah, we'll get that hooked up sometime, and you can come watch one of the Love Wrestling where they have the big they do the big screen and stuff too, because they hold the show in a movie theater, right? Like we straight up set the ring up in a movie theater.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, there's like an upper balcony part and a lower balcony, and it's pretty sweet. I think it's one of the better venues in town for live wrestling.
Right
anyway,
on.
We will talk to you again soon, and I love you, and I will talk to you again. All right.
Love you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Okie dokie, buddy.